Good morning and aloha. Welcome to Just Talking 24, page 56. Um, this morning I'm going to talk about a subject that I maybe get emotional about, okay? Because I don't know why. When I speak about God, and that's what I'm talking about, the difference between God and religion. Now, you guys know that the two subjects that I don't like talking about is politics and religion. And the reason is when it comes down to that, people are just fixed. You can show them right in front of their eyes, but you're trying to over undo their basis of belief. Yeah, and a lot of people, if they don't have the belief, they don't have anything. And I understand that. No, I really do. I understand that. You've got to have belief in yourself because that's what you're told. You got to believe in yourself. You got to believe in your goals. You got to believe. You got to believe, and that's true. You have to believe, but what do you have to believe? That's the $1 million question, right? And I grew up, as you guys know, not heavily religious. We weren't heavily religious. In fact, I wanted well because I went to school and in kindergarten, and I saw other people, and we never prayed before we ate, and at school we prayed before we ate. And what is this prayer about? And then I noticed that some of the kids, they got off on Wednesday afternoons, Wednesdays after lunch. They went to catechism, and I'm over there. What's catechism? And so I asked my dad, and my dad said, it's part of religion. I go, huh? He goes, like, and then, because Jesus, we were Christian, okay? My brother and my sister were both baptized Christians, and I wasn't. My mom always said, when you're ready, you will make your own decision. And my mom too. My mom was, she's baptized, and she used to go to church every Sunday. St. Augustine's, Waikiki, because my grandmother lived only 2 weeks, 2 blocks away from Waikiki Beach. So my mom would go to St. Augustine's in Waikiki. And the last time she went to service was 7 o'clock mass. Yeah, I remember the 7 o'clock mass because my grandmother, my mom's mom, she was very religious, Portuguese, right? Said rosary every day, and did she never swore, never said the GD word. And well, my mom, she went to church every Sunday, and then the last Sunday she went to mass was Sunday 7 o'clock mass, December 7th, 1941. I've told you this before, but that really strikes me as very important. How do you equate an attack on the United States with God? With religion, not God, religion. And that was the last time she went. But what she also told me was she was born a blue baby. And if you guys don't know what that is, that's a congenital disease where your heart just doesn't pump enough blood. And when the child cries, or when he eats, or when he coughs, whatever, they turn blue because their blood just doesn't have enough oxygen. And in 1934, Dr. Blaylock discovered a procedure that bypassed the pulmonary artery. Yeah, to assist the circulation of the blood, to get the blood into the lungs, to get it oxygenated better. Well, this was in 1934. Mom was born in 1928. Yeah, 6 years before he even invented that procedure. And so she was given a 2 year life expectancy because in those days babies, the blue babies, because they don't get enough oxygen, their organs can't, function correctly. They can't grow. They diminish. They do not flourish. They die. And average life expectancy for a blue baby was 2 years. And so my grandparents were told that. And my mom always told me this growing up. And she said every day after her second birthday, every day after 2 years was a gift from God. So she believed in God, but not religion. And I think that's where I get my stuff from. Because you guys know that, I'm a mama's boy. Okay. I listened to my mom. She never steered me wrong. And she was the one that talked. My dad did not say a lot. Although I wish sometimes we had, really long, soulful talks, but he was never brought up like that. If I had a question, I asked him the question, he gave me the answer. That's it. You know, and he'll tell you something, don't do that. That's it. You don't do it. If you value your safety and personal, your personal well-being, you don't do it. So that's the way we grew up. And God was not, we didn't talk about him a lot. And but I knew he was, he's there. He's all around because my grandfather, who was pure Hawaiian, he would say Aloha ke akua. That means God is love. And you give your thanks to God every time. You go to the ocean, you have a good day. Aloha ke akua. Thank you. Mahalo ke akua. Thank you, God. And he wasn't really, he's more spiritual. And my grandmother, Obabang, she loved her country, really. Yeah, she was not religious either, but she was an American. She was so proud. I remember in 1961 or 62, President Kennedy came down to Hawaii. And I mean, that's when, people would just come out in throngs to greet the president. And, he walked through and everything, and he shook my grandmother's hand. And I remember because Obama didn't wash her hand for a week. You know, she wore, that's the first time I ever saw her wear plastic gloves when she cooked. She would not wash her hand. She was so honored that the President of the United States actually shook her hand. You know, that kind of stuff you don't feel anymore. From what I understand, President Trump has a very firm handshake and he pulls you to him or something. Joe Grogan was telling me, telling on his podcast, yeah, when you shake hands with President Trump, be prepared because he'll pull you to him. I don't. If he wants to hug, I'll hug him. But anyway, yeah. So God, we never grew up with God a lot, but He was always there. You know what I mean? You don't when you pray to God, it's not like talking. It's really it's hard to understand. It's hard to explain, but and it's something that grows as you grow. That's the weird part. The way I see God today, I never saw when I was growing up. I always knew He was there, but now I really appreciate what He gives us. And I don't mean personally, I mean the world, what He gave us, and the kind of people we're supposed to be. And religion does not teach that. Religion wants you to conform to their rules, what they want you to be, not God. They use God. They say God wants you, but God gave us only two rules, folks. Really, there's only two rules, and I've told you this, I don't know how many times, but I don't care because I'm gonna keep saying it because I'm a freaking parrot. Okay. Rule number one: acknowledge that he does exist. There is a power out there that is all powerful. There is a power out there that we can't even begin to understand. But there is a power out there that's all powerful. That's God. And he's not vengeful. He is love. He is hate. God is the perfect balance. You know, when growing up, they say, well, God is perfect. Well, he is. But they go, perfect love. Well, he is. But he's also, when you need one crack, he'll give you a crack. He is, and you deserve it. You're worthy of it. When he gives you a kick in the butt, brother, you deserve that kick. And he knows just how much to give. Sure, sometimes he takes, and sometimes he gives. That's the part of the balance. And we don't understand it because we're looking only one sided, just for us. We're so arrogant. The man, when I say we, man, we're so arrogant. You know, God exists for us. We are made in his image. He looks like us that succumb. That's what he looks like. That's where we get it from, man. And God, I mean, to think that God's power, he runs the universe. Think of how much power I can't. I can't even think how much power it takes to spin this world, much less billions and billions and billions and maybe even trillions of planets out there. You know, that's God. But he exists. Okay? Really simple. And the second, okay, he gave us free will. Go forward and you do what you're going to do. But also, just treat each other nicely. Try to become the species, the kind of people that he will one day say, you know, yeah, I'm glad that I made that, you know, that batch. That was a pretty good batch, and that we don't get thrown into a rubbish can because we soured. Unless you want to make sour, you know, then okay, but let's not go there, okay? But no, that's, you know, hopefully that's what I try to do. I try to please him. But by pleasing him, you be true to yourself. And I mean, when I say true to yourself has to be true to itself. It's it's like, you know, oh, what movie was that? The Planet of the Apes, where the psychiatrist tried to show you looking at a mirror, looking at you looking at a mirror, and it just went all the way down. Well, that's what yourself is. And as far as you can go, that's how far you can go. And but just because how far you can go is not the farthest you can go. I know it's really confusing, and I'm just learning it myself. But the more you learn, the more you want to learn, and it's frustrating because how come other people didn't know this? You know, how come I wasn't told this? But I was. I just never learned it. You see what I mean? They tell you that. You know, that was the what I call the hypocrisy of religion. You know, God is love, but don't mess around because He'll destroy you. You know, listen to us because if you don't listen to us, you're gonna suffer God's wrath. You know, they use God as a hammer over you, and God is not like that. You know, and I saw this all the time. My wife, when we go to funerals, and she's Episcopalian, which is a branch of Christianity. But if you go to a Catholic church and you haven't, either you're not baptized in the Catholic religion or you haven't gone to confession, you know, like God don't know what I'm doing, right? You cannot go up and take communion, that wafer thing. Yet in Episcopalian, you don't even have to go to confession. You just go up and grab the wafer, and well, what we used to do is dunk it in the wine. Don't put your fingers in it, just just a wafer, and you put it in your mouth, and I mean, it's totally tasteless. But my wife loved that. She loved receiving the sacrament, and in Catholic Church she could never do it, and she feels really bad. I mean, she really feels bad, and I told her, go up there and go get it. I cannot. Why? Because I'm not Catholic. You think God cares, but it's so driven into her. She cannot. But if we go to Episcopal Church, then she can. You see the hypocrisy of the religion and all these practices. And I told her, no, that's okay, whatever. Like I said, that's why I don't. That's why I don't argue religion. Okay, that is the truth. But yeah, God is there. And then that phrase, aloha kia kua, aloha love ke is, and kia kua, God. God is love. And I remember this one of my patients. She was part Hawaiian, and I would talk to her. She was terminal, and she was a kind of a frequent flyer because she kept having as toward the end you get more and more sick, and I would go and I would talk to her, and she goes, I like talking to you because you give me comfort. And that's a big part of healthcare. That is a big part of healthcare. You not only give the physical application of medicine, you give comfort and solace. You give solstice. Yeah, you give the longest day of the year, but you give solace to the person. You give them comfort, you give them care, you give them reassuring. And they ask you, and that's going to be another talk about afterlife. Yeah, that's going to be another talk. But you just try to put them at ease. And she liked talking to me. She would, if I was on, she'd call, and she understood that I got 20 something patients. So but she was so nice, and her family, very very nice. Her daughter was, she loved mom. Just that she couldn't, the stuff that was happening to her, she couldn't take care of it, and I understand. And I told her, don't feel bad. You just being there is enough. That's good medicine. Mom tries. Hey, she's a model patient. You tell her to do something, she does it. And tell her, you gotta call when you gotta go bathroom. She calls, she waits. Poor thing. So I set her up at a bedside commode. I said, you go, Mama, you go on there, then you push the button, and you do your thing, and you wait. But at least you've done it. You haven't dirtied yourself. You feel better, because, I mean, they feel bad, that they're wearing a diaper and that they dirtied themselves. It's very dehumanizing. But what can we do? Unless you got a Dignitube, and you don't want to know what Dignitube is, and and a Foley, which is a urinary catheter, which I loved. Hey, you don't gotta go bathroom, man. You, I know I'm sick. You guys knew that already. Part of the balance, right? But I am on medication, and my doctor knows about it. No, I tell people that, and they look at me like, "Is this guy for real?" Yes, I just escaped from them. I went the other day. This past Tuesday, I went to for a echo, um, echo of my heart. So I called Monday, and the girl said, "Oh yeah, yeah, come. I have a cancellation. Come tomorrow on the 20th at 3 o'clock." I said, "Okay." So I went there, and Tuesday was the 20th, and the girl goes, "Why are you here?" I said, "I'm here for my echo." She goes, "No, it's February 20th." I said, "No, the girl told me January 20th." And this was, January 23. She goes, "Oh, she gave you the wrong month." I said, "Hey, no, no biggie." And she goes, "No, but I can give you something." I said, "No, no, 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 don't confuse me, okay? I'm Portuguese. Don't confuse me. February 20th at 3 o'clock is fine." And she goes, "Don't go there." And she was Portuguese too. She was Portuguese too. And I said, "What?" She goes, "Don't go there." I said, "Go where?" She goes, "You just went to the P place." I said, "No, I never. The bathroom is just on the corner." She goes, "Oh, you crazy." I said, "Yeah, but I'm on the medication. My doctor knows." And she looked at I said, "Yeah, just from next door, because that facility, Queens Hospital, they have a psychiatric ward called the Killer Ward." So, and I know I joke about it and I shouldn't, but no, the people in there, I've been there a couple of times. Not as a patient, okay? Not as a patient, please. No. One time I assisted, we delivered a patient there. And another time I went to drop off a something from Kuakini, from my unit. They needed it there. And they asked if I could take it over, so I took it over. And I talked to some of the residents, because the residents, part of their rounds, in their training, they have to do a bunch of psychiatrics. And so, I see them over there. Hey, and I told him, "So, how's it going?" He goes, "Most of these people, they're just playing games for drugs." Yeah, they just act like they're crazy, but they're not. But our system is such as just give them this antipsychotics, and that's what they're just there for the drugs. I said, "All right." I said, "Can I get some?" And he's over there. "No, you don't need it." But that's part of. But see that balance. That's what we go for, and that's what God is all about. That's what God wants you to do. Sure, yeah, love one another, but also be mindful that people can be can be mean. Remember, we're the only species on this round rock that kills for fun. Most of the time, people, I mean, they kill because of territory. They'll kill for food. And if sometimes, well, they kill by accident, not on purpose. We kill on purpose, and we're one of, I think we are the only species that does that. I mean, there probably are others, but you know, we haven't discovered them yet. But look at what we're doing, right? I mean, look at all what's happening in the United States. Democrats versus Republicans, liberals versus conservative. It's instead of meeting in the middle and finding a balance. No, our way is our way or the highway, and that's what I try to find the balance. Charlie Kirk loved to debate, right? I don't like to debate. I like to discuss. I like to try and find a medium place. And if the person doesn't, is not willing to, or doesn't seem, won't accept it, non-acceptance, I tell them, "Okay, brother, you okay?" And I walk away. There's no crime in walking away. Everybody, we all have to crawl in our own pace. We have to learn to walk in our own place, in our own, excuse me, our own pace, not place, pace. And that's what, oh, everybody's busy this morning. And that's what God is all about. He gives you your freedom, but you got to learn. And I'm learning. Oh, I learn every day. It's unbelievable how much I don't know. I thought that the older you get, the more you figure it out. Well, the older you get, the more you figure out that you don't have it. See the balance again? Just when you think you got it, gone. But I hope you folks got anything out of this. It's hard. it's an easy subject to talk about, but it's hard to bring it up. It's like saying, I hate, I hate that you have to leave, but I love watching you. Love or something like that. You know, it's hard. It's easy to talk about God. I mean, I talk about him, and I really I love him, and he. Well, I'm still here, ain't I? So there's something else. I still have a purpose, but and he has a good sense of humor because I can tell my Jesus jokes, and I still here. And they go, "What's a Jesus jokes?" And I go, "Well, how come Jesus can eat M and M's?" And they go, "I don't know." I said, "Because they keep slipping through the holes in his hands." Oh, you gotta see the Catholic people when you talk. What did you say? Come on, it's a joke. He knows it's a joke. Actually, it's not a joke. He can't because he got the whole. Yeah. But yes, learn to embrace God. And in the beginning, you'll be very uncomfortable because I talk to him and I just get welled up in emotion. Yeah, for no reason, my emotions just come out with him. I feel so free. And you look at something and you say, man, I never noticed how many different colors of green the mountain has, and how it just blends with each other. The colors just complement each other, and then here comes a bird of a colored bird, and how they contrast with the rest of the. It's just beautiful. It is just beautiful, and I just thank him every day. And I say him because it's easier to say I cannot call God it. It's a him or a he or she. But hey, I'm a guy, right? Okay, so it's a him. He's a man, yeah. But he's not. I just thank God every day. And so, yeah, this one, even though it's not 30 minutes long, it's pretty close to it. But I want you guys to just start thinking about it. And hopefully you can spread it, make it fester, start a virus. You know, God is great, God is good. And we thank him for this food. Yay, God. But anyway, thank you so much putting up with me, putting up with this polygy raging again. Next week's gonna be another one. Next week I'm gonna attack gravity, unless something else comes up. But right now, everything you notice the political moderators, same thing over and over and over, because they got nothing new. You know, ICE. They're fighting ICE in Minnesota. Um, we're taking care of Venezuela. Ukraine behaving themselves. The world's behaving themselves without turmoil. They got nothing to talk about. Pretty soon they're gonna be, President Trump used the bathroom at 7:10 a.m. today. I mean, really, yeah. No news is good news to me, but not to them. But anyway, you guys have a great week. Chinese New Year is coming up. They said it's on February the 14th. So, all right, we killed two birds with one stone this year. Happy Valentine's Day and Gungi Hachoy. But anyway, you guys have a great week, and I'll see you next week. And take care. Ahui ho. Malama pono. And of course, from me to you, with all the aloha from my heart to yours. I love you. Like, subscribe, tell your friends, and have a good week and be safe. Bye bye.